The air is thick, with the scent of metal and ozone. I step out of the transport pod into the compound, my footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. The walls are lined with flickering monitors displaying data feeds from various sites. My badge scans at a security checkpoint, and the door slides open with a soft hiss. I navigate through the sterile environment, my movements automatic as I head to the compliance office. The room is filled with the hum of computers and the occasional beep of notifications. My workstation is already set up. A screen displaying the day's priorities, a terminal for accessing records, and a headset for communication with field teams. The screens show reports from extraction sites across the planet. Dot numbers flash by, detailing resource yields and operational efficiency. I review the data methodically, checking off items on my checklist. Each report is standardized, formatted in a way that makes the raw information easy to digest. There's no need to think beyond the surface. Every detail is there for me to verify. A notification pings through my headset. An update from Site 32. I connect to their feed and watch as workers move machinery across the landscape. The terrain is rugged, but the equipment moves with precision. No disturbances in productivity. Everything running smoothly according to protocol. I log out of the site's feed and return to my checklist. Another report needs verification, a routine audit for Site 17. I pull up their records and begin comparing figures against established benchmarks. Everything aligns perfectly. No discrepancies worth noting. The process is mechanical. Each step a familiar pattern repeated countless times before. The day progresses without incident. I move from task to task, my actions seamless in the rigid structure of the office routine. Each completed item on my checklist brings a sense of order and purpose. There is no room for deviation. Every detail must align with policy and procedure. As lunchtime approaches, I take a brief break and head to the cafeteria. The food is prepackaged and bland standard rations designed for sustenance rather than taste. I eat quickly, my thoughts focused on the next batch of reports waiting back at my desk. Returning to the office, I resume where I left off. Another site needs an inspection report. I review their latest data feeds and confirm compliance with regulations. The work is repetitive, but it's necessary for maintaining operational standards. The day winds down as I complete my final tasks. My checklist is empty now, each item crossed out in meticulous order. As the sun sets outside the compound, I log off and prepare to leave. Another shift completed without incident, following the procedures that keep everything running smoothly. Heading back to my quarters, I pass through quiet corridors. The air feels cooler here, more still. My room is basic: a bed, a desk, some personal effects. It's not home, but it serves its function well enough. I undress and lay down, closing my eyes as the day fades away into the background noise of the compound. Tomorrow will bring another routine shift, another set of tasks to complete. The planet outside is indifferent, continuing its cycle regardless of human operations. Inside this bubble, everything feels normal, functional, expected. The day begins with a standard checklist, each item meticulously ticked off before the avatar body is powered up. I move through the familiar motions without hesitation, calibrating sensors, adjusting environmental settings, and running diagnostics. The routine is a comfort, an anchor in the relentless flow of time. I spend most of my shift monitoring equipment performance and making minor adjustments as needed. Each component operates within expected parameters, feeding data back to headquarters for analysis. There's no room for deviation. Every action follows protocol to maintain optimal efficiency. The avatar body functions well, its movements smooth and responsive. I navigate the terrain with practiced ease, noting any anomalies in the environment. Nothing significant today. The landscape is lush, but unremarkable, a backdrop for my assigned tasks. During breaks, I focus on maintenance tasks, ensuring that protective gear remains serviceable. Cleaning filters, replacing worn parts, and conducting routine inspections all contribute to prolonging equipment lifespan. These activities occupy my mind without leaving room for idle thought or distraction. As the day progresses, I transition seamlessly into night duties, setting up surveillance systems and initiating automated scans. The quiet darkness provides a stark contrast to the earlier daylight tasks, but offers no respite from procedural obligations. Each phase of the operation is distinct yet continuous, forming an unbroken chain of responsibilities. I retire to my quarters after completing all assigned work for the day, reviewing logs and preparing mental notes for the next cycle. There is little need for personal interaction or contemplation. Adherence to schedule ensures a steady progression without unnecessary complications. Sleep comes easily in this controlled environment, another predictable phase in an unvarying routine. Tomorrow will bring more of the same repetition, grounding me firmly within the system I inhabit. The heat is constant, a steady presence that molds around the body like an invisible blanket. It settles into my skin with each passing moment, becoming a part of me rather than something to notice. The air is thick and heavy, carrying with it the distant hum of bioluminescent creatures and the occasional rustle of unseen foliage. These sounds are always there, yet they fade into background noise as I focus on the tasks at hand. The routine is unchanging. Check the equipment, recalibrate sensors, monitor readings, make adjustments. Each step follows seamlessly from the last, forming a chain that keeps me anchored in the present. The heat lingers but no longer demands attention. It's simply there, a given condition of this environment. As I move through the day, my mind narrows to the task at hand, filtering out extraneous details. The humidity is persistent, making every breath feel like an effort against resistance. Yet as I continue with the familiar motions, the sensation fades into insignificance. It's not that it ceases to exist. Rather, it becomes a part of the backdrop, a condition to be endured but no longer noticed. The hum of distant life remains constant, a low drone that does little more than remind me where I am. Each day blends into the next with unwavering consistency. There is no deviation from the protocol, and so there's no need for attention beyond what is required. The sensory details become less distinct, their presence diminishing in relevance as my focus remains fixed on the operational task. The heat, humidity, and distant sounds are all still present, but they recede into the background of awareness. They exist, unremarkable and routine, serving only to underscore the predictability of this existence. The monotony is not oppressive. It's simply a condition that requires no further thought or consideration beyond its role in maintaining order and efficiency. As I complete another cycle of checks and calibrations, the day progresses without incident. There's a sense of calm and acceptance of what must be done. The heat continues to radiate around me, but my mind has long since adapted to its presence. It's no longer something to notice, just part of the environment I inhabit. The routine offers stability and predictability, ensuring that everything remains in order. Each task is a step forward, each repetition a reinforcement of what must be done. The sensory inputs are constant yet unobtrusive, their relevance diminishing with time as they become mere conditions rather than focal points. There is no need for reflection or analysis. The day moves on without fanfare, and so do I. The day progresses in a seamless rhythm, each task blending into the next with precision. My movements synchronize effortlessly with those around me, our actions coordinated without spoken instruction. We move as one unit, the boundaries between us blurring into a shared flow of efficiency. The machinery hums alongside our efforts, each part working in tandem to maintain the relentless pace. In this space, individuality fades into insignificance. My presence is indistinguishable from any other, my role interchangeable with anyone else's. We are not distinct individuals but components in a larger mechanism, our identities subsumed by the collective function. The need for personal interaction diminishes, replaced by a quiet reliance on the established protocol that guides us all. The environment remains constant, its persistent heat and humidity serving as an unchanging backdrop to our work. These elements are neither discomfort nor comfort. They simply exist, requiring no more than acknowledgement. We navigate them with practiced ease, our focus unwaveringly directed toward the tasks at hand. As the day wears on, a sense of detachment deepens. The world narrows to the immediate demands of labor, each action calculated and executed without hesitation. There is no room for idle thought or personal reflection, only the relentless drive to complete what must be done. Our movements merge into a cohesive whole, the individual strands of effort weaving together to form an unbreakable tapestry. The monotony brings a strange comfort, a sense of order in the midst of repetition. Each task completed is another step forward, contributing to the larger purpose without fanfare or recognition. In this environment, the concept of self becomes secondary to the collective goal, and I find myself moving seamlessly within this framework, my existence absorbed into the machinery of progress. The day moves forward with a familiar rhythm, each task slotting into place like gears turning smoothly in a well-oiled machine. There's no need for thought beyond the immediate sequence of actions. The protocol guides me through each step without hesitation. The environment presses around heat, humidity, and distant mechanical hums, but it all feels like part of the backdrop, something to be acknowledged rather than engaged with. I drift from one task to another with a calm detachment, my movements precise and efficient. There's no room for personal reflection or idle thought. Everything is focused on maintaining the operational standards set forth in our protocols. The monotony offers a comforting predictability, each day blending seamlessly into the next without any sense of longing for change. As I conclude one task, another begins immediately behind it, creating an unbroken flow that feels natural and necessary. My identity seems to fade slightly with each passing moment, becoming more about following protocol than asserting individuality. The work is neither challenging nor exhilarating. It simply exists as a series of procedural steps designed for efficiency. The environment remains constant, its elements steady and reliable. There's no need to question or analyze my surroundings. They are part of the system I inhabit, functioning alongside me without conflict. Each day feels complete in itself, offering a sense of sufficiency that leaves no room for dissatisfaction or desire for more. I continue with the next set of tasks, moving through them with practiced ease. The routine is comforting, providing stability and order amidst the constant hum of activity around me. There's nothing to be questioned here. Everything feels acceptable and sufficient as it is. A strict adherence to protocol is operational necessity. Each step ensures safety margins and output efficiency. The environment's heat and humidity present challenges that require constant monitoring and adjustment, but these variables are manageable within our established parameters. Rules are not imposed arbitrarily. They evolve from the conditions we face on this planet. Our daily tasks are scheduled meticulously to account for every possible variable, minimizing downtime and maximizing productivity. This rigidity is not a choice, but a response to environmental unpredictability. Each day's routine stabilizes our operations, ensuring that even minor fluctuations do not disrupt our overall objectives. Personal reflection and deviation are inefficiencies we cannot afford. The monotony of our tasks offers stability. It ensures that each component functions seamlessly without room for error or emotional distraction. Our identity within the system is defined by adherence to procedural steps rather than personal whims. This approach guarantees consistency, which in turn supports the collective drive toward completion. The environment here is neither hostile nor accommodating. It simply exists as a condition we must manage. Each day's tasks blend into one another with precision and efficiency, because any deviation could jeopardize our stability. The comfort we derive from routine comes not from personal satisfaction, but from the assurance that everything operates as intended, minimizing risk and maximizing output. The strictness of our protocols is not punitive, but practical. It serves to protect us from environmental hazards, ensuring that each individual's contribution aligns with the larger goal. Emotional engagement or idle thought would only introduce variables beyond our control, potentially leading to unforeseen consequences. In this context, impersonality is a safeguard, not a personal failing. The system demands precision and efficiency. It does not allow for sentimentality or distraction. Each task performed meticulously contributes to the greater good of maintaining stability and operational integrity. This works because it has to. Today's throughput was within the acceptable loss margins. The extraction rate matched our projections, and the yield from the primary vein was stable. The environmental scans showed minimal anomalies, all falling well within our tolerance thresholds for resource recovery operations. The rigors of the terrain are merely operational challenges to be managed through precise calibration and meticulous adherence to protocols. Variability in output is expected, but it's essential to maintain consistency where possible. Any deviation must be accounted for and corrected to ensure that the overall system remains balanced. Comfort comes from data points aligning with our models. Each successful extraction cycle brings us closer to meeting the objectives set forth by our directives. Emotional considerations are irrelevant. They only serve as potential disruptors to efficiency. The presence of life forms is noted, but only in terms of their impact on resource yield and operational safety. Any necessary adjustments to mitigate risks are made objectively, without sentimentality. The goal is clear: maximize output while minimizing waste and risk. Metrics provide clarity, reducing ambiguity and ensuring that decisions are data-driven rather than influenced by subjective factors. This approach allows for continuous optimization, adapting to the planet's variables with precision. In this framework, personal discomfort is minimized through systematic processes. Each task, each protocol, serves a purpose in maintaining stability and operational integrity. The detachment fosters an environment where efficiency thrives. The abstract nature of our work provides assurance. Every variable is accounted for, every projection validated by empirical data. This method ensures that we are not merely surviving, but thriving within the constraints of this resource-rich, yet unforgiving planet. The rhythmic hum of the machinery echoes through the cavern, a constant reminder that everything is functioning as it should. My body moves in sync with the mechanical cadence, each action precise and calculated. The air here is thick with moisture, clinging to my skin and dampening my clothes, but I've grown accustomed to the sensation. It's part of the landscape, an ever-present condition that needs no further thought. The temperature fluctuates as we delve deeper into the mine, a stark contrast to the surface world's sunlit warmth. My sensors adjust accordingly, adapting to each change seamlessly. The cold seeps through my suit, but it's merely a variable in the equation, not an obstacle. Each shiver is a minor calibration issue, nothing more. The rocks around me are an intricate network of minerals and veins. Their textures varied yet predictable. I move along the designated pathways, my hands guided by pre-programmed routes that ensure efficiency. The occasional rockfall doesn't faze me. It's a reminder to recalibrate my trajectory, not an impediment. Each adjustment refines my path forward. The light from my helmet flickers intermittently as we descend further underground. It's a minor glitch, easily remedied with a quick diagnostic scan. There's no need for panic or hesitation. Each problem is merely another data point to be addressed and resolved. The darkness beyond the beam is familiar territory, a place where clarity lies in the absence of distraction. The strain on my body grows incrementally, but it's an expected condition, not an unwelcome surprise. My muscles ache from the repetitive motion, yet they respond without complaint, each fiber geared towards maintaining optimal performance. The fatigue is a signal that progress is being made, not a sign of failure or discomfort. As I continue deeper into this world, the environment itself becomes another layer of data to be managed and integrated. Each challenge encountered serves as confirmation that we are advancing our mission, that every step taken moves us closer to our objectives. The stress isn't a burden, it's an indicator of success. Efficiency is paramount, and my adherence to protocol ensures that everything proceeds smoothly. The routine, once tedious, now feels like the rhythm of life itself, a steady pulse guiding me forward. Every detail, every nuance, contributes to the larger picture, reinforcing the necessity of our work. There is no room for doubt or hesitation here, only action, precision, and progress. This is where I thrive, where logic and purpose intersect seamlessly. With each breath drawn from the filtered air around me, the mission continues unabated. The strain is merely a byproduct of productivity, a testament to the system's resilience and my commitment to its success. As I move through my tasks today, a fleeting sense of hesitation creeps in, but it's quickly dismissed. It's unnecessary to linger on such thoughts. Every moment spent questioning is a moment wasted. Protocols are clear and have been tested extensively. Any deviation from them would introduce risk, and that isn't what we need right now. I remind myself that this work is essential for the mission's success. Every detail matters. Every step must be precise. There's no room for doubt here. It serves only to undermine our efforts. The protocols are designed with care and purpose, ensuring that each action aligns perfectly with the overarching goals. My role is clear. Follow the established guidelines without deviation. This hesitation feels like a minor glitch in an otherwise smooth operation. It's my responsibility to correct it internally. I refocus on the task at hand, letting the protocol guide me forward. The rhythm of the work returns, each step becoming a familiar beat that keeps us moving toward our objectives with precision and efficiency. The momentary uncertainty fades into insignificance as I align myself once more with the protocols. Each step, each task becomes a reaffirmation of my role in this system. There's no room for doubt or hesitation, only the unwavering commitment to efficiency and consistency. The environment presents challenges, but they are merely variables to be addressed through rigorous adherence to established procedures. The repetitive nature of the work has shifted from tedious to rhythmic, offering a sense of purpose that extends beyond personal fulfillment. Each task is an opportunity for refinement, a chance to enhance performance and contribute effectively to the mission's objectives. The discomfort experience serves as a measure of success, highlighting resilience and dedication rather than posing obstacles. Adaptation to environmental changes is seamless, treating each adjustment as a minor recalibration within the framework of established protocol. This systematic approach ensures that any deviation from standard procedures is identified swiftly and corrected with precision. The sense of control derived from this rigidity provides assurance and stability, reducing emotional interference and maintaining operational efficiency. The work feels less like a burden and more like a necessary function within a larger system designed for collective success. Each action aligns not with personal desires but with the objective requirements of the mission. This clarity offers a settled feeling, devoid of emotional turmoil or moral questioning. The correctness of my actions replaces any lingering uncertainty, ensuring that I remain focused on the task at hand. As I continue to move through the routines without hesitation, the sense of purpose solidifies. There's no room for doubt, only the unwavering commitment to the mission's progress. Each step is a reaffirmation of my role in this system, contributing to its stability and efficiency with precision and discipline. I start my shift with the usual routine, setting up for the day's tasks. The initial rhythm is familiar and reassuring. Each step, a well-trodden path. Yet as I proceed, small discrepancies begin to surface. Adjusting settings that once required a single command now demand multiple inputs. A task that was seamless before feels cumbersome, needing additional checks and recalibrations. The environmental conditions interfere subtly but persistently. Sensors detect slight variations in temperature or humidity, necessitating minor adjustments to equipment parameters. These deviations are not significant enough to cause alarm, but they introduce an element of unpredictability that requires vigilance. I adapt the protocols incrementally, making small allowances for these changes, ensuring that operations remain stable despite the interference. The repetitive nature of my work has shifted from a comforting routine to one requiring more attention and effort. Each cycle now demands closer scrutiny, with extra steps inserted to account for potential anomalies. The process no longer flows as smoothly, but it remains functional through meticulous adherence to protocols and continuous adaptation. I notice an increase in the frequency of these small adjustments, each necessitating additional time and focus. Despite this, I maintain my commitment to the mission's objectives, viewing these challenges as opportunities to refine procedures further. My sense of clarity and purpose remains intact, though it now comes with a greater awareness of the effort required to sustain efficiency. The work continues, and while the system still functions, the ease that once characterized my tasks has given way to a more deliberate process. Each step is carefully considered, each adjustment meticulously applied, ensuring that operational stability is maintained through meticulous attention to detail. As I review Today's report on system efficiency, the numbers don't quite align with what I see in real time. The metrics indicate a smooth operation, yet there's an underlying sense of dissonance when comparing these figures to the actual performance. For instance, the projected energy output should have met our benchmarks perfectly, but monitoring the physical systems reveals minor fluctuations that weren't predicted by the models. The discrepancy isn't large enough to be alarming, but it's noticeable. The theoretical framework still holds strong on paper, yet there's a palpable tension when I step into the operational space and observe the machinery firsthand. Adjustments made according to the report yield expected results in theory, but practical execution leaves room for unexpected deviations. This morning's reading showed an optimal energy distribution across all sectors, yet the physical checks reveal slight imbalances that weren't flagged by the automated systems. It feels like there's a layer of reality that my rational models can no longer fully encapsulate. The numbers tell one story, while the tangible evidence suggests another. I find myself spending more time cross-referencing data with direct observations, trying to bridge this gap between theory and practice. Despite the effort, I'm beginning to recognize that some aspects of our environment might be inherently unpredictable or too complex for current models to capture accurately. It's frustrating but also intriguing. There's an underlying complexity that feels just beyond my grasp. The familiar routines now require more attention and recalibration than before. While my dedication remains unwavering, the process is becoming increasingly nuanced. Each adjustment brings incremental improvements, yet a lingering sense of incompleteness persists. The system still functions, but it no longer adheres to the neat logic I've always relied on. It's as if there are subtle variables at play that the established models overlook, causing these minor discrepancies to accumulate over time. These inconsistencies don't disrupt our operations entirely, but they introduce a layer of unpredictability that my rational mind struggles to reconcile with the precision it expects from our systems. The map no longer matches perfectly with the ground, and while this realization is unsettling, I'm compelled to delve deeper into understanding these nuances. The challenge lies not in outright failure, but in navigating an environment where perfect abstraction gives way to imperfect reality. The routine continues, but the background hum of dissonance grows louder. Each keystroke and gesture feels slightly off-kilter, as if the world is subtly shifting beneath my feet. I notice that the air conditioning cycles more irregularly now, a persistent whisper in the corner of my awareness. It's not overwhelming, merely pervasive, like an unresolved question that lingers at the edge of comprehension. The screens flicker intermittently, their brightness fluctuating ever so slightly, and it's as the system is testing its limits with each oscillation. I recalibrate, adjusting settings meticulously to find stability once again. But the hum remains a constant reminder of this underlying tension. In my workspace, the ambient sounds blend into an unsteady rhythm. The soft whirring of machinery intermingles with the occasional beep and buzz, creating a discordant melody that refuses to settle. I try to focus on the task at hand, but the background noise nags insistently, making concentration more elusive than before. I attempt to isolate each element, examining them individually for anomalies, yet each piece fits too neatly within its designated place to offer any clear solution. There's a pervasive sense that something isn't quite right, an imbalance that I can feel rather than see. The environment asserts itself subtly, but persistently, challenging the neat abstraction of my rational framework. The discomfort is not acute or unbearable. It's more like a persistent itch at the back of my mind. It demands attention without providing clear direction, leaving me with a sense of unease that I can't entirely shake off. The world feels slightly askew, and I find myself continually readjusting to maintain balance. The hum continues, an unresolved presence that refuses to be ignored. Each day brings new variations in the sensory motifa, persistent reminder of the complexity beyond my control. Despite the effort to impose order, there's a nagging sensation that something fundamental is shifting beneath the surface, and I am left grappling with these inconsistencies without clear resolution. I find myself constantly recalibrating my understanding of the daily tasks, as if each routine has a new layer that needs peeling back, revealing inconsistencies that weren't there before. The air conditioning cycles seem erratic now, and I can feel the subtle shifts in temperature more keenly. My screens flicker intermittently, their usual clarity obscured by brief moments of static. Each time this happens, I step through my mental checklist methodically. Is it a power fluctuation? A glitch in the system? It's frustrating because these interruptions demand attention that should be focused elsewhere. Yet, there's an underlying logic to it. I tell myself, the world is complex and ever-changing. I must adapt. I remind myself of the importance of precision and vigilance. Every detail matters now more than ever. But as I repeat this mantra, it starts to feel like a performance rather than a natural response. There's a sense that my usual explanations are wearing thin, their edges blurring with each iteration. It's as if I need to convince myself all over again. The flickering screens catch my eye once more, the static momentarily overwhelming before settling back into clarity. I take a deep breath and reassure myself, this is normal, just part of the complexity. My mind needs to stay sharp, remain vigilant. But even as I say it, there's a nagging doubt at the periphery. It's like trying to hold water in my hands. The harder I squeeze, the more it slips away. The air conditioning hums louder now, its rhythm shifting subtly. I pause and observe, noting the changes with heightened awareness. Everything seems off-kilter today, but there's a method behind the madnesser, so I tell myself repeatedly. The world is dynamic, ever-evolving. My role here is to maintain order amidst chaos. And yet, each time I remind myself of these truths, they feel less solid than before. It's as if my mental framework requires constant reinforcement to stay intact. There's a persistent unease, an itch that won't be scratched by the usual reassurances. But still, I push forward, repeating what needs to be true until it feels true once more. The screens flicker again, and I can't help but feel that this time is different. The clarity returns, but with it comes a subtle sense of unease that lingers like an aftertaste. I know the world outside these walls remains stable, predictable in its complexity, but inside my mind the lines are blurring, demanding more attention than ever before. I take another deep breath and reassure myself once again. This is normal. It's just part of the intricate dance between order and chaos. The routine tasks demand meticulous care, but so does this new layer of scrutiny. And with each flicker and hum, I remind myself that precision and vigilance are my anchors in a shifting reality. But even as I repeat it, there's a growing sense that these words alone aren't enough to hold everything together anymore. The world feels slightly askew, challenging the very foundations of what I know. Yet I push through, holding on to the familiar logic with renewed determination. It's not just a task. It's an act of will, repeated and reinforced until it holds true once more. The air conditioning hums inconsistently, its rhythm a subtle disturbance in the background noise. I adjust my collar, feeling the slight chill that doesn't quite match the warmth of the room. The flicker of the screen catches my eye again. It's barely noticeable, but enough to disrupt the smooth flow of my work. I pause briefly, allowing myself to acknowledge the dissonance. It's a small thing, but it nags at the edges of my concentration. I recalibrate, ensuring that every setting is correct, every input is precise. Yet despite my efforts, the flicker persists, like an unresolved question in the back of my mind. The screens display data with slight irregular numbers, shifting ever so slightly from one moment to the next. It's a minor deviation, but it demands attention. I scrutinize each detail meticulously, searching for patterns that might explain this anomaly. The air conditioning cycles abruptly, as if responding to some unseen command rather than its usual schedule. Despite these disruptions, my routine continues. Each task is completed with precision, but now there's an added layer of vigilance. Every action requires a second look, a momentary pause to ensure everything aligns perfectly. It's a delicate balance, maintaining stability through constant oversight. The environment feels slightly askew, like the world has shifted ever so slightly out of alignment. Each flicker and change in temperature heightens my awareness, making it hard to ignore these inconsistencies. I reassure myself that it's just a temporary glitch, but deep down, there's an underlying tension that refuses to dissipate. I push through, adapting as necessary. The discomfort remains, but it doesn't overwhelm me entirely. Instead, it becomes part of the routine, something to be managed alongside the more straightforward task. Each flicker and adjustment is now a familiar challenge, demanding attention without offering clear answers. As I finish another round of recalibrations, the room feels quieter for a moment. The air conditioning stabilizes, and the screens return to their usual patterns. For now, everything holds together, but only when watched closely. There's no sense of certainty or resolution, just an ongoing need for vigilance. The flickering screens no longer go unnoticed. They now disrupt my concentration more frequently. Each flicker is a reminder of the underlying instability, an anomaly that requires immediate attention despite its transient nature. I recalibrate systems meticulously, but the pattern persists, leaving me with a lingering sense of unresolved tension. The air conditioning system fluctuates, causing subtle changes in temperature that affect my comfort and focus. Adjusting settings becomes routine, yet the problem remains unsolved. The room feels colder one moment, warmer the next, creating an environment where precision is harder to achieve. Each adjustment I make feels like a temporary fix rather than a permanent solution. The irregularities accumulate, manifesting in unexpected ways. My workspace begins to show signs of wear and tear scratches on the desk, dust gathering in corners that were previously absent. The cumulative effect is noticeable. Each day brings more evidence of ongoing degradation, a reality that I must acknowledge without question or emotion. My efforts to maintain order become increasingly strained. Tasks that once demanded minimal attention now require constant vigilance. Each flicker and fluctuation demands immediate response, yet the underlying issues remain unresolved. This cycle creates a sense of fatigue, a physical weariness that is as much about the relentless need for adjustment as it is about the mental strain. The environment outside my controlled space also reflects this instability. Trees are less vibrant, their leaves showing signs of stress and decay. The air feels thinner, carrying with it a subtle but persistent reminder of environmental decline. These changes are not dramatic or sudden. They manifest gradually, each day revealing more evidence of an underlying shift in the natural world. I adapt to these conditions pragmatically, treating them as operational realities rather than sources of concern. Each flicker and fluctuation is managed through routine adjustments, yet their cumulative impact cannot be ignored. The sense of dissonance grows, a persistent itch that demands attention but offers no clear solution. The physical wear on my workspace mirrors the broader environmental degradation. Scratches deepen into cracks, dust accumulates more rapidly despite efforts to clean it away. These signs are visible and undeniable, yet I continue to work within this evolving reality without hesitation or complaint. Numbers now correspond to tangible outcomes. Each flicker of the screen translates to a moment lost in concentration. Each fluctuation in temperature affects productivity. Each scratch on the desk represents cumulative wear. The cost is real and measurable, not abstracted away by theoretical models or emotional reactions. Despite this, my commitment remains steadfast, driven by necessity rather than any sense of choice. The world around me continues to shift, and I adapt accordingly, acknowledging these changes as operational realities that must be managed with precision and care. Each day brings new challenges, yet the fundamental need for stability persists, guiding my actions without room for doubt or deviation. I wake up to the same relentless cycle. The air feels heavier than usual, weighted with an unspoken tension that clings to every breath. My muscles ache from yesterday's endless adjustments, each movement a testament to the physical toll of maintaining order in chaos. The workspace is littered with remnants of my efforts, a scattered array of tools and spare parts, a few half-finished repairs waiting for attention. I start by sorting through these, categorizing what needs immediate attention and what can wait until later. The act itself is mechanical, devoid of emotion or hope. It's simply the next step in an unending routine. The first task involves stabilizing the damaged support beams that threaten to collapse under a relentless strain. This requires a series of intricate repairs and reinforcements. Each hammer strike echoes with the weight of its necessity. Each bolt tightened holds back the inevitable decay for just a little longer. Yet, despite my meticulous work, there's no sense of accomplishment or relief, only the acknowledgement that this is what must be done. Next, I address the leaking pipes, patching them with makeshift materials to prevent further damage. Water seeps through cracks like an insistent reminder of the environment's fragility. The act of sealing these leaks feels futile but necessary, a Sisyphean task repeated daily without end. My hands are calloused from countless repetitions, my body aching from the constant struggle. The day progresses with more tasks replacing broken components, reinforcing weakened structures, and addressing whatever new issues arise. Each problem solved only serves to highlight others lurking just beyond my immediate reach. The cumulative weariness is overwhelming, but not debilitating. I continue because stopping isn't an option. The thought of ceasing brings no clarity or respirates a void that threatens more instability than the current struggle. As night falls, exhaustion settles over me like a thick fog. Yet even as darkness closes in, there's still work to be done on monitoring systems for any unexpected failures, ensuring nothing slips past my watchful eye. The routine is familiar and comforting in its predictability, yet it offers no solace against the gnawing sense of futility. I drag myself through these final tasks, each movement a conscious effort to maintain order amidst chaos. There's no grand purpose or noble cause driving me, merely an unyielding necessity to continue until one day, perhaps tomorrow, it simply won't be possible anymore. The future is uncertain and bleak, but the present demands my attention. So I persist, not out of defiance or resilience, but because stopping isn't supported by anything solid enough to hold up against the relentless tide of entropy. Each day blends into the next in a relentless cycle of repair and decay, maintenance and erosion. And so it goes, without end or respite, just the unyielding demand for continuity amidst collapse. The walls of my workspace seem to shift subtly with each passing day. The cracks in the plaster grow longer and deeper, as if they are mocking me with their persistence. I apply a fresh coat of sealant, knowing it will not last long before another layer is needed. It's an endless cycle of patching and reapplying, but there's no denying the inevitable progression of decay. Outside my window, trees that once stood tall now lean precariously against each other for support. Their leaves turn brown prematurely, a stark contrast to their lush green from just weeks ago. I walk among them, observing without emotion. The soil beneath my feet is dry and brittle, hardly holding the weight of another season's growth. I spend hours recalibrating systems that once worked seamlessly, but now falter with each update. Data streams through networks that flicker unpredictably, causing delays and malfunctions. I reroute traffic, troubleshoot errors, and implement patches to stabilize operations. Yet, every fix is temporary, like applying bandages over a wound that won't stop bleeding. My body feels heavy, my movement slow as fatigue accumulates layer by layer. Each day brings new challenges, but also the unchanging routine of addressing them head on. I know there's no escape from this cycle. It's become my reality. There's no sense of triumph in overcoming obstacles, only a resigned acceptance that this is what must be done. In the evenings, as darkness settles and the city lights flicker on, I sit by the window and watch the night sky. Stars once bright now seem dimmed, obscured by an ever-thickening haze. It's a reminder of the pervasive nature of change, one that extends beyond my immediate surroundings into the vastness above. I recognize the damage without judgment, acknowledging it as part of the new normal. The systems I depend on are resilient, but not invincible. They demand constant attention and maintenance to function at all. My role is clear: continue adapting and managing, even when there's no hope for lasting solutions. This work continues because stopping would mean accepting chaos, a fate worse than the steady grind of maintaining order in an ever-shifting world. The predictability offers no comfort, but serves as a grim anchor, grounding me amidst uncertainty. Each day is a mirror reflecting ongoing decay, yet I persist out of necessity, driven by the relentless demand for continuity in a state of constant collapse. The routine has become a shadow of its former self, each day mirroring the last in a relentless cycle. The workspace continues to degrade despite my efforts, and yet I persist with the same motions, adjusting, repairing, readjusting, and repeating. It feels like an endless loop, where every action leads only to more work, not less. The walls of the room are now visibly warped, cracks widening along the seams. The tools I used grow worn, their edges dulled by constant friction against materials that shift unpredictably beneath my hands. Each repair offers a momentary respite before the inevitable return of another issue. It's as if the environment itself is conspiring to negate any progress. I find myself moving through tasks with an unspoken rhythm, each step carefully calculated yet futile in its ultimate purpose. The system seems designed to encourage continuation rather than correction. There are no rewards for addressing root causes, only penalties for ignoring them. Each day's laborious efforts yield temporary stability at best, but the underlying instability remains unchanged. The pressure to continue is relentless, a mechanical force that propels me forward despite the futility of it all. The alternative, halting this endless cycle, would bring about chaos far worse than the current state. So I move through the motions, driven by the inertia of my actions, rather than any hope for change. It's not a choice, so much as a necessity. Continuation is the only path forward. The room around me continues to shift and crackle with life of its own accord. Nature reacts without sentiment, and so too does I, accepting each new challenge pragmatically. There is no sense of accomplishment in this work, only the grim recognition that it must be done to maintain some semblance of order amidst chaos. In these moments, there is a strange comfort in predictability. Knowing exactly what will happen next allows me to navigate without fear or hope. The routine offers nothing but cold stability, and yet it is enough to keep me moving forward. Each day's labor is simply the next step in an unending chain of necessity. So I continue, not because there is any reason to believe that things will improve, but because stopping would mean surrendering to a worse fate. The system itself has no intent beyond its own momentum, and so my actions are governed by this relentless forward motion. This is how systems move through the inertia of their parts, each one contributing to the whole without regard for individual outcomes. I am just another cog in an indifferent machine, turning day after day with no hope of escape or a resolution. The cycle continues, a mechanical dance of necessity and futility, bound by its own momentum. I wake up to the usual hum of mechanical systems and the faint scent of decay. Another day begins with a sense of inevitability, the kind that comes from knowing there's no escape from this cycle. The environment around me is familiar, yet subtly different each time I open my eyes. Walls slightly askew, floors uneven underfoot, the air tinged with an ever-present chill. I move through my routine with practiced ease, checking sensors and recalibrating machinery. Each task feels like a necessary chore rather than a meaningful action. The system's constant degradation demands attention, but no amount of tweaking seems to yield lasting stability. It's a Sisyphean effort, pushing boulders uphill only for them to roll back down. The physical weariness is palpable. My body responds sluggishly to the demands of manual labor and mental strain. Yet, I persist because stopping means surrendering to chaos, a prospect more terrifying than any exhaustion could be. The work itself offers no solace, merely a grim routine that anchors me amidst the crumbling world around. I notice changes in the environment without much emotional response now. Walls crack, floors sag, but these are just facts to be addressed. There's an acceptance of loss as part of this new baseline reality. Each day's efforts highlight further decay, yet they also serve as a reminder that I'm still here, still functioning. The room feels colder today, the air dry and thin. My fingers ache with cold as I adjust settings on exposed wires and outdated machinery. The workspace has long since ceased to feel like home. It's merely a place where tasks must be performed to maintain some semblance of order. As I finish my rounds, the day's weariness sets in more deeply. Sleep beckons but brings no respite from this endless cycle. Tomorrow will bring new challenges and another round of futile effort, yet there is an underlying acceptance that each day's work is all that matters now. I drift into a shallow sleep, aware of nothing beyond the immediate need to rest before waking again. This is how things are now. Persistent decay, relentless effort, and an unyielding acceptance of what cannot be changed. The morning light filters through the cracked window, casting long shadows across my workbench. I begin my day with the familiar routine of clearing debris from yesterday's efforts. Dust particles float in the air, settling on the scattered parts and tools that litter the space. My movements are automatic, each step measured and purposeful as I sweep and organize. The workspace has seen better days. The walls bear signs of wear, patched and repatched with makeshift materials. A layer of grime coats every surface, a testament to the constant battle against decay. Yet, there is a cold stability in this routine that anchors me amidst the chaos outside. I move to the central console, my fingers dancing across the worn keyboard as I input diagnostics into the system. The display flickers with outdated information, but it serves its purpose. Data streams through monitors showing the status of various sectors, each one displaying varying degrees of degradation. Maintenance alerts flash intermittently, each requiring attention. Outside, the landscape is a barren expanse of altered terrain. Once lush and vibrant, now it lies desolate under an indifferent sky. The air smells of dust and decay, but there's no nostalgia here. I know this place as well as I know my own hands, every crevice, every scar etched into its surface. My next task involves a series of checks in the power distribution network. Wires fray and connections loosen with time, demanding constant oversight. The hum of generators echoes through the corridors, a steady heartbeat amidst the silence. Each maintenance cycle brings new weariness, but also an unspoken acceptance of loss as part of reality. Breakfast is routinely a quick meal, prepared from stored rations, eaten alone in the corner where I can see my workspace and monitor screens simultaneously. Taste offers no comfort, merely sustenance for another day's effort. Afterward, a brief moment to rest before diving back into tasks that feel pointless yet necessary. The afternoon brings more diagnostics and repairs. My movements are mechanical as I navigate familiar challenges, tightening loose connections, replacing worn parts, patching up breaches in the containment fields. Each task is a small victory against entropy, but offers no sense of accomplishment beyond immediate necessity. As evening falls, I compile daily logs detailing my work. The entries list problems resolved and issues pending with clinical precision. There is no reflection on cause or effect, only documentation of ongoing decay and routine maintenance. Sleep comes eventually, a welcome respite from the relentless cycle of deterioration and repair. The dreamless rest provides temporary relief, but brings no lasting solace. When dawn breaks again, I wait to start another day, moving through familiar routines with an acceptance that anchors me amidst uncertainty. The work continues not out of hope for change or escape, but because it must. I clean the dust from the console screens again. Static particles drift away into the air, settling elsewhere soon enough. My hands move with practiced precision, though they tremble slightly now under the weight of routine. The monitor flickers to life as I power it up, a familiar hum echoing through the chamber. The door hisses open to admit me, and I step inside without thought. Each panel glows with data, outdated but still relevant. I review the logs methodically, making notes where necessary, minor adjustments, routine checks. The walls are lined with equipment that once monitored vital systems. Now they monitor decay. A faint whirring sound accompanies my movements as fans spin to circulate air through filters. The corridor outside is dimly lit, shadows stretching in long lines across the floor. I move along it without hesitation, knowing exactly where each door leads and what lies beyond. The hallway bends sharply left, leading to a small alcove with storage units. Boxes of spare parts are stacked precariously high. Some have toppled over, spilling their contents onto the ground. I gather loose components, placing them back into designated slots within the unit. It's an endless task, one that never truly ends. The clutter is a constant reminder of maintenance deferred and tasks undone. Yet there is no urgency in my actions, only steady repetition. Each item I return to its place brings a brief moment of order before chaos reasserts itself. Exiting the alcove, I make my way back towards the main chamber, where more screens wait for attention. The air here feels cooler, filtered through layers of systems that still function despite their age and weariness. As I approach the console once again, my fingers tap out commands with practiced ease. Data scrolls across the screen before me, a stream of information that ebbs and flows without purpose. I take another inventory check, marking down discrepancies on a digital clipboard. The list grows longer each day, but it's no cause for alarm or worry, just something to be addressed as part of the cycle. There are repairs to make, connections to test, and patterns to track. Each step is taken with mechanical precision, devoid of emotion or anticipation. The room outside darkens slightly as evening approaches. Artificial lights flicker to life automatically, casting a soft glow over everything within sight. I continue my work without pause, moving from station to station, as if following an invisible path laid out by habit alone. The space around me is familiar but alien, filled with echoes of what once was and hints at what will inevitably follow. Yet, there is no need for change. This state persists because it can. My actions are dictated not by personal drive or aspiration, but by the relentless cycle that defines existence here. Each task completed brings a momentary sense of normalcy amidst pervasive entropy, offering small respite from an unchanging reality. I begin my day as usual, methodically moving through the checklist of tasks that define my existence here. Each action is a ritual, performed without thought or hesitation. The morning light filters through the tattered fabric of the window blinds, casting stark shadows across the room. I check the water filter, ensuring it still functions despite its age and wear. A small victory, another day with clean water. The air conditioning hums quietly in the background, a constant companion that keeps the heat at bay. The system is old but reliable, another layer of stability amidst the chaos outside. I move to the kitchen area, where food supplies are stored in sealed containers. I open one and examine its contents, confirming there's enough for another week. Nothing unusual today. Routine maintenance tasks consume my day, cleaning surfaces with disinfectant wipes, checking structural integrity around windows and doors, and monitoring the power supply. Each task is a familiar dance of movement and assessment. The world outside remains unseen. It doesn't matter. What's important is what I can control, what I can maintain. As evening approaches, I prepare a simple meal from my stockpile. Cooking has become another ritual, measuring out ingredients, heating them to the right temperature, and eating the result with mechanical precision. There's no enjoyment in the process. It's simply necessary. The taste is unremarkable, but sustenance is sustained. I spend the remainder of the evening on minor repairs, replacing a frayed cord, tightening loose screws, and sealing gaps where drafts might enter. Each task completed brings a fleeting sense of order, a temporary respite from the ongoing decay. These moments are my currency, no a small reward for enduring another day in this place. The night falls quickly, bringing with it the usual routine, checking the security systems, reviewing any alerts or messages that may have come through, and preparing for sleep. The bed is simple but comfortable, a sanctuary of sorts from the chaos outside. I lie down, close my eyes, and wait for the next day to begin. Tomorrow will be much like today's routine, mechanical, unremarkable, but it's enough. It must continue. The day begins as always. I wake up to the familiar hum of my environment systems, a constant backdrop that signals the start of another cycle. The room is the same, patched and worn, but functional. Each morning I wake to the familiar hum of systems around me. Another day begins with routine checks and maintenance tasks. I perform them mechanically, without any emotional fluctuation or hope for change. Every action is geared toward maintaining the status quo, ensuring everything operates smoothly. The daytime hours pass in a sea of endless tasks, and just as night falls, my final check of the day is complete. My bed becomes the only refuge. Lying down, my body relaxes gradually, but my mind remains restless, aimlessly wandering without direction. As darkness envelops me, I find brief peace. Yet this calm is fleeting. Tomorrow brings another cycle of routine tasks. Morning light seeps through the cracks in the curtains, waking me to continue unfinished work. Life goes on like this, with no end or purpose. The tasks keep coming, and the narrative quietly concludes. I wake to the familiar hum of systems around me. Another day begins with L.